Mark Baumgard. Hi, Mark.
Hi, it's Vernon. Vernon Benjamin.
Hey.
This is Philip.
Hi, Lizzie.
Hi.
Martin Hallwitz, WSP.
Morning, Marty.
Good morning.
Good morning, Herb Litz. Morning, Herb.
Jesus, how do I get this? Let's see. There we are.
Neil Battez, Town of New Paltz.
Good morning, Supervisor.
Good morning.
Can I ask who the wireless caller with the number 774-392-1486 is?
That's me, Neil.
Oh, hey, Neil. Great. Thank you.
Oh, excellent.
Just waiting for a few more folks to join.
Alan Aiden, City of Kingston.
Welcome, Alan.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Yes.
We got you, Alan.
Okay.
Do we have anyone from the town of Ulster? How about town of Rosendale? Village of Saugerties? Ulster County? And town of Rochester?
Mike Baden's here.
Oh, great. Thank you, Michael. Dennis, we're good to go.
Okay. Thank you,
Brian,
everyone.
you have a really-
Our apologies. Thank you very much.
Overrode that echo on your end, Brian.
Yeah, I don't know how. We're all in separate rooms this morning. I think we might just have to deal with it.
Morning, John Morrow, town of Ulster.
Morning, Councilman.
Morning, John. So thank you all for joining us this morning. We apologize for the rather abrupt call for this meeting. It has to do with some FTA requirements. I'm going to forego announcements and introductions for the technical committee and hold them until we take attendance for the upcoming policy committee, which is a meeting immediately following. So with that, I'm going to make a call for citizens comments. Are there any citizens comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the June 16th, 2020 technical committee meeting summary. Our apologies, but because of the nature of the time that we called this meeting, we do not have the meeting summary completed yet. We do have a YouTube version, which is out there. I don't want to improve the YouTube version, but if anybody's interested in that meeting, it is out online in terms of the last technical committee. So I'll skip the approval of the technical committee meeting summary. Communications and announcements. Ryan, do you have any communications or announcements?
The big issue that I would like to make everyone aware of is that we have, in haste, commenced the long-range transportation plan public outreach process. We're really pleased to have this underway. Some of you should have all received an email notification regarding the availability of our public survey, so that is now available. We would really appreciate it if our technical committee and policy committee members could forward that to their respective constituents. It is intended for all members of the traveling public. And we're aiming for distribution of the draft long-range plan in early August to the technical committee, and we're going to push very strongly for September approval. So the long-range plan process is very much underway, and we look forward to presenting the draft plan at our next meeting.
Does anyone need us to resend the links to that survey? Okay. Any other communications and announcements, Brian?
No, not at this time.
All right. New business. Item A on the agenda is the draft UCTC resolution number 2020-10. It's to authorize the transfer of administrative and management responsibilities for Ulster County Commuter Bus Carriers supplemental federal fiscal year 2020 federal transit funding from the Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security, otherwise known as the CARES Act, to the Capital District Transportation Authority, CDTA, in Albany, New York. I have a motion for discussion purposes.
Wilkins
So moved.
Second, Morrow.
So we had, who moved? Was that Mr. Wilkin?
Yes.
Herb Litz. Oh, whatever.
Herb Litz. Okay, Mr. Litz moved. Seconded by Mr. Morrow. Brian, discussion?
Yeah, sure. Capital cost of contracting is typically, it can seem like a complicated subject, but I'm going to try to simplify it in the best terms that I can. Whenever the public wishes to turn to a private entity in order to provide transit service utilizing public funds, the capital...
Frank Costello, Town of Sorghum.
Thank you, Fred. The capital consumed in the course of that contract can be used toward the depreciation of vehicles and also for the maintenance and other operating costs. That process is referred to as capital cost of contracting. David has a link to the FTA website that provides several paragraphs of explanation as to why the FTA utilizes a capital cost of contracting process, but it's essentially in order to refund the capital cost of utilizing those vehicles, those private vehicles. In this instance, the CARES Act has made available $12 million in funds available to private carriers operating within the Ulster County area. Those funds were approved under excuse me, UCTC Resolution 2020-7 during our June meeting. At this time, we need to approve a capital cost of contracting agreement. And the New York State DOT prefers that the capital cost of contracting is operated out of one MPO, and they prefer that to be Capital District Transit Authority operating out of Albany. Therefore, Resolution 2020-10 transfers our UCTC's authority to do capital cost of contracting to CDTA. At this point in time, to my knowledge, and Dennis, you can update as needed, I don't believe a contractor has been selected by New York State DOT to run these routes, but in the event that the DOT does select a private operator, these funds will be made available to them.
So just a quick correction on that. These funds are CARES Act money, and there have been directed to Adirondack Trailways. There are other 5307 monies that are available that are going to require an RFP process. Be aware, the council should be aware that this is something that we have commonly done for the last, I would say, 7 to 10 years, where we have, whether it be 5307 money or other monies associated with the commuter carrier service in Ulster County that's privatized, we have, at the request of NISDOT and with the assistance of CDTA, transferred that authority to for the management responsibilities to CDTA. It does take quite a bit of effort off of our own management requirements, which would have to run through the designated recipient, which in Ulster County, which would be UCAT. So it takes that responsibility off of them as well. So it's worked well for us in the past. We believe we've had several discussions with NISDOT and with CDTA about transferring this funds. They are in agreement to transfer the funds. They will be directed to Adirondack Trailways, and this money is 100% federal money. There's no required match, and it would be used, more than likely used, for operating assistance to help Trailways get through the downturn with respect to what they went through in terms of the disruption of service during the pandemic. Any questions?
It's Vernon. Why is it transferred to the Capital District TA?
It's literally an efficiency move, Vernon. What ends up happening is that the money is the service is still provided within Ulster County, but the efficiency is that the management of the grants, the grants process in the Capital District takes some management responsibilities away from our UCAT folks. A, and B is NISDOT prefers it that way, where they only have to deal with one granting agency in terms of reporting and auditing, quite frankly.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Let me rephrase that. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? So carried. The next order of business is other old business, and it's the UCTC 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan update. Brian?
Right. I mentioned that the survey has, the public process has commenced for the long-range plan. We are contracted with 16 out of New Paltz to assist us with the public outreach process. Beginning last week and into this week, we conducted focused stakeholder group focus meetings to get a sense of and try to validate our goals, objectives, and vision statement for the long-range plan. Some of you were able to participate in those with us, and they were very productive. We appreciated your time. And then many of those same questions that we asked our stakeholders to respond to are also included in the public survey. So if you could please, again, If you haven't filled out the survey yourself, please do so and forward it to your constituents. We would appreciate that. The process going forward, this is a very condensed schedule for the long-range plan. We were originally anticipating some level of flexibility from our partners at FDA and FHWA in terms of our deadline, considering the coronavirus situation that we've been dealing with. Unfortunately, they're not able to provide us with that flexibility in the absence of any strict regulation passed by Congress. So we're going to have to move forward with the original September 30th deadline. And we're readily prepared to do that. David and I have been working very diligently on getting the draft ready for review by the technical committee. We expect that to be ready for you within the 10-day period prior to the August meeting, which is the fourth Tuesday in August. So, and we hope to get it to you sooner, and if we can, we will certainly do that. So the process then moving forward is to have technical committee provide review and approval. We will then have 1 or 2 public meetings. They will very likely be virtual public meetings, but we may have an opportunity to have in-person attendance if we feel it's safe and prudent to do so. That will be in late August, early September. And then we will move for final approval by the UPTC Policy Committee at the September meeting. So that will be the process going forward. It is, again, a very condensed review and approval schedule, but it's unfortunately the situation that we're dealing with. Fortunately, it's still a minor update. The plan itself does not go through fundamental changes. And I guess I'll say finally, we do have the assistance of a graphic designer to help us reformat the report. And because of our condensed schedule, we've opted to put before our technical and policy committees a content-only document. So there will be graphics in the document, but the final document will then be reformatted by our graphic designers. And we don't feel that there's a need to go through a formal approval process, just changing the format of the document because the overall content will remain the same. So we expect that graphic design revision to be done by Thanksgiving. So we'll have and that will be a fully ADA compatible document that will be in rich text format so that people with visual or hearing disabilities will be able to access the document as well. That's it for the long-range plan. I did have one other update I wanted to provide members with. I have sent direct emails to municipalities that have federal aid projects with construction dates in federal fiscal year 2020. I've asked for an update regarding the schedule and status of those projects, and I've heard back from nearly everyone who's in attendance at this meeting right now. So I just like to draw your attention that we are still monitoring very closely TIP performance. And if you feel that your project cannot go to construction in federal fiscal year 20, we need to make those changes, and we need to make them now. I appreciate a quick response from everyone who has responded, and we'll continue to do that review. That's it for the technical committee.
Does any of the council members have anything that they want to bring up? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Herb Litz.
Thank you, Mr. Litz. Do I have a second?
Morrow, second.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Morrow. We stand adjourned. Everybody stay on. We're going to call the policy committee meeting to order. So again, everyone, welcome to the Ulster County Transportation Policy Committee meeting for July 21st, 2020. It's a call of order. Call to order. We'll do a roll call. Brian?
I will name the municipality and a voting member present would please state their name. Ulster County, City of Kingston,
Alan Aiden.
Town of Saugerties,
Fred Costello.
Town of Ulster,
Don Morrow.
New York State Department of Transportation,
Amy McKenzie.
New York State Thruway Authority,
This is Philip.
Village of Saugerties,
Alex Wade.
Town of Rosendale, Town of Lloyd,
Herb Litz.
Town of Plattekill,
Tom Wilkin.
Village of Ellenville, Town of New Paltz,
Neil Bates.
Town of Woodstock, Town of Rochester.
Mike Baden.
We have 10 voting members present at the quorum.
Thank you, Brian. Call for citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens' comments? Hearing none. Brian, we do not have the policy committee meeting summary. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I'll skip this step again. We have a YouTube video out for the policy committee. The policy meeting committee will meeting summary will take up at the next policy committee meeting. Communications and announcements, Brian?
No new communications or announcements at this time.
Okay. New business, item A, draft UCTC Resolution 2020-10, authorizing the transfer of administrative and management responsibilities to the Ulster County Commuter Bus Carrier Supplemental Federal Fiscal Year 2020 Federal Transit Funding for the Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security Act, CARES, to the Capital District Transportation Authority, CDTA, in Albany, New York. I have a motion for discussion purposes.
Tom Wilkin.
Herb Litz.
Second,
Wilkie, do I
Morrow.
have a second? Thank you, Mr. Morrow. Brian, you want to explain this very briefly for the record?
Yeah, as I mentioned, capital cost of contracting is the process used to provide federal transit resources to private carriers when we would like to contract with a private carrier to provide that public service. The process in this instance, the New York State DOT prefers that one regional entity administer the process of capital cost of contracting. In this instance, it's Capital District Transit Authority, and by doing so, they're relieving Ulster County of the administrative burden and centralizing a lot of that bureaucratic work in one regional entity. The amount of dollars available was made through UCTC Resolution 22-07 in the original appropriation. And the amount of dollars made available to private carriers is $12,247,041.
Any council comments? Any questions? Hearing none. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So carried. Other old business? Anything, Brian?
Nothing else at this time. Fill out
Anything
that
from the council members? Brian? Anything from the council members? Okay, my thanks to all of you for the meeting. My thanks to all of you for today. Don't forget to fill out the survey, and don't forget to, if you have a capital project, don't forget to list its status, get the MPO its status so that we know whether or not we need a tip amendment relative to that. Everybody enjoy the rest of your summer. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A while ago, Paul had put Herbie on as an alternate and then so I just put him on, of course. There's not much going on. This is where